Alright, I'm going to try to make this awareness video pretty quick, not to horrify you. This is the reality of the world we live in. And we wonder why we go outside and we feel wrecked half the time. Why some of us can't breathe. Constant so-called sinus infections and whatnot. Let me get right into it. So as you saw, I'm just going to pop a leaf off that tree. I'm going to show you what you can see under a basic hobby microscope initially. Then I'm going to go into higher magnifications on my compound scope. But for right this second, I'm just going to show you what anybody who has 80 bucks can see. So this particular scope, it's using reflective light. And so I was just curious about these little shiny spots on there and how they represent under the compound scope, which is transmitted light. It means it's coming from underneath. So I got a pair of scissors in there. I'm just cutting away. And I'm going to show you where everything changes for me. Right there. Right there. I flipped it over, but I didn't show you on that particular image. Right there. That the backside of that leaf was like fuzzy, just like that. It's insane. And it was kind of like matted to it until I cut that leaf. When I cut the leaf, it kind of like sprung off. I really wish I had it, like jumped out me like a jack in a box. That's why I was like, what in the world's going on here? I knew there was some type of finish or webby like finish on the other side, but I was at the time I was only focusing on those little shiny spots that looked like silver pieces of metal, which did not show up at all other than dark spots on the microscope, on the compound that is. Alright, so now I will show you that I did end up cutting a small portion of it away, and I did put that under a slide. I don't know where to start first, really. Alright, well, might as well just go ahead and start with that big piece of fuzz we saw, right? And here we go. Just look at that. That's insane, right? So it laid just as flat as can be on the slide. So I'm going to take you for a little walk around this thing. And this is with the 4X objective. I did place one drop of triply distilled water on there. That just helps with the slide prep. Unfortunately, I can't get my Canon D5000 to communicate with my Mac, and all I have currently is just I believe it's called Photo Booth is what the Mac app is, and it's horrible. But my SLR adapter with my Canon is pretty good. I just can't get it to communicate live like I'm doing right now. This is insane, isn't it? There's so many things going on in here. Mostly a war, and that war is against us. Now you see this thing right here? That doesn't look like an isolated object, does it? Looks like it's all a part of these bundles of tubes and crystals or whatever you have. Very reminiscent of the spider silk. And this was all over the back side of that leaf, but it was woven, it's like it woven itself to it, like a little neat blanket that if you're not paying attention, you won't see. And this was my, I guess you would say, week off. I just took a week off, wasn't really paying attention to anything or anyone. Me and my oldest son, we were outside doing things we like to do, archery and stuff like that. And there, it seems like everywhere I turn, anyway, everywhere I look, I see the fallout of war. And there's some people say, hey, well, you got to have a good day someday. I really wish I could. I really wish I could. I'm going to run the footage from the Canon just to give you a comparison. I'm going to run it at high speed. And if you want to look at it, no matter what platform you're on, you can click the Substack link to go back to Substack, and I can post this particular MP4 by itself. So let's have a look at this guy. Look at that. Look at that core body right there. Right there in the center. All of them have it. Every last one of them. Like a little diamond in the middle. A silicone semiconductor. I did I guess what you call a 360 perimeter check. You just take your camera and you scan all the way around and nothing at the time. You walk away, you come back, and boom, this is what you have. These drifters that drifted off. All over it. All over it. Everywhere you can look. I'm just going to run some images right now. I don't really know what else to say anymore, right? Some people would tell you this is particles of incomplete combustion of jet fuel, right? The funny thing is, I used to work for a CNC machine shop back in the day, and we used to make aerosol injectors for all kinds of folks. All kinds of special projects. Used to run I believe it's called a CNC enclosed lancer. We had a whole machine shop full of them. And we were making all kinds of stuff, special projects, special contracts, all kinds of agency names on them. Of course, back then you don't know, right? You don't know what you don't know. And it literally would say stratospheric aerosol injector on the blueprint, and you would get the blueprint, and the blueprint would be bigger than you don't know what. But you know what these blueprints never had? They never had specs that would tell you that this particular module was going to be connected to fuel. No. Whenever we made parts for fuel, pressurized jet fuel, which we did, we made plenty of parts for jets, they would give you all these ratings. Now, the ratings weren't for us. The ratings were for the engineer. So when they were plotting out their design for the replacement part, they had to incorporate that knowledge into the design. And we had a very good engineer. It was a small machine shop for the most part. Maybe 10 machines total. So 10 machines, 5 guys. So one guy gets 2 machines at the end of the day. But yeah, that's what we used to make. Aerosol injectors. Well, not on a regular basis, but all kinds of things akin to the war that we're in today. Now, speaking of the war we're in today, I had somebody show up, which is funny. These people from my past showing up. Well, they email me first, and then they they want to come see me. Hey, Eric, I haven't seen you in a long time. I know you haven't. But anyway, it's funny. I say it's funny because I think my Substack is starting to get a little bit of traction locally because people from my past are emailing me, but they're trying to act like they don't know what's going on. They play dumb because they know I was very vocal back in the beginning of all this nonsense of 2020, very vocal. But none of them said that they came across my Substack. And how do I know they come across my Substack? Well, every time somebody subscribes to me, I get their email. You know what I mean? I also get the email alert saying who unsubscribes from me, and that's like a regular basis. That's like watching two men play ping pong all day long. I had to turn my notifications off. It was that bad. Anyway, I'm not about subscribers. I could care less who watches my content or who doesn't. It seems like the right people are getting a hold of my material. I'm also talking to the right people. All right, so moving forward. So what we have on the screen right now is this particular individual's blood. It's been dried over. You can't make this up. And I'm sorry if this is a movie pun, but this is 28 days later. Dried blood. And are we not seeing the same things in the environment in our blood? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Right there. All this. And you can say, oh, Eric, that's just fibrogen, whatever. That's just clotty material that appears to look the same way. You're like cloud gazing. Oh, okay. Cloud gazing, you say. I don't know. This is under the 20x objective. Kind of looks like the same duck to me. I could be wrong. As they say, you're reaching, right? Or I'm reaching, should you say. I think that's all I have for today. What a world. What a world. Take care. Be safe.
I see